Welcome to Daily Armenia, CivilNet's daily news digest. Here are today's top stories from Armenia, Artsakh, and the region. In diplomatic news, the foreign ministers of Armenia and Azerbaijan will meet sometime next week in Washington for another round of peace talks. That is, according to Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan, who announced the upcoming meeting today at his weekly cabinet meeting. He did not give a specific date for the negotiations. A State Department spokesperson said yesterday the United States looks forward to hosting another round of talks in Washington soon, but also would not give a date. We continue to believe that direct dialogue is key, he added. The meeting between Ararat Mirzoyan of Armenia and Ceyhun Bayramov of Azerbaijan was initially scheduled for last week, but was postponed at Baku's request, reportedly due to scheduling issues. Mirzoyan and Bayramov held talks twice last month, once in Washington and once in Moscow. Those talks ended in no discernible progress toward a peace deal. In more diplomatic news, a Russian foreign ministry spokesperson called on Azerbaijan to allow humanitarian aid into Nagorno-Karabakh, which has now been under total blockade for a week. At a press briefing yesterday, Maria Zakharova said, "We call on Baku to take steps to completely unblock the Lachin corridor for humanitarian purposes and not to hold Karabakh's population hostage to political disagreements with Yerevan." A week ago, Azerbaijani border guards closed the Lachin corridor to all traffic, in effect putting Artsakh under total blockade. Previously, Baku had allowed vehicles belonging to the Red Cross and Russian peacekeepers to transport patients and humanitarian aid in and out of Nagorno-Karabakh through their checkpoint. Within days, the authorities in Stepanakert started reporting shortages of sugar and cooking oil. Meanwhile, Nagorno-Karabakh's health ministry said today that nearly 200 patients are awaiting medical evacuation to Armenia, but are currently being denied passage through the checkpoint, which Azerbaijan set up earlier this year in violation of the 2020 ceasefire. Back in Armenia, a court sentenced an Azerbaijani soldier to 20 years in prison for murdering an Armenian civilian. Yesterday, a court in Armenia's southernmost Syunik region found Hussein Akhundov guilty of murdering a security guard at a regional mine. The guard's relatives told the Armenian media they consider the sentence unacceptable and have called instead for life imprisonment. Akhundov is one of two Azerbaijani soldiers who were apprehended in April after crossing into Armenia, apparently after getting lost in bad weather. Last month, the second soldier was sentenced to 11.5 years in prison after being found guilty of illegally crossing the border and smuggling weapons. Meanwhile, in Baku, two Armenian soldiers who were captured by Azerbaijani forces last month continue to remain in pretrial detention, facing terrorism charges. Yerevan says the two soldiers were abducted by Azerbaijani troops who had crossed into Armenian territory. A number of observers in Yerevan have suggested Baku may try to swap the pairs of soldiers. You can also check out Part 2 of CivilNet's on-the-ground coverage of the controversial land deal that will see a substantial part of Jerusalem's Armenian quarter leased away for nearly a century. The report, along with Part 1, is up now on our website and YouTube channel. And as always, please follow CivilNet for the latest news and independent journalism from our reporters in Armenia, Artsakh, and the region.